What's up, everybody? We are back at Around the Mat Pod. I am your host, PJ North. We are back for another week. We were off last week, but we are back to talk all things wrestling. A lot going on. A lot of things happening in the wrestling world, and we are excited to talk about it. But before we get to there, if you're listening on YouTube with us live, let us know in the chat, man. Hit that like and subscribe button. That helps us out. Comment, let us know your thoughts so we can chat about it live here. If you're listening on iTunes or Spotify, don't forget to leave us a review. That helps us out as well. And don't forget to follow us on all social medias at AroundTheMatPod. Super easy. And let us know, man. Interact. All things happening. But we're going to get into it. We got a lot to talk about, and I'm bringing the boys back. In the bottom left, he is the ticket god, Freddie Fresh, Fred DeCourt Jr. What's up, baby?
What's happening, man? Glad to be back. It's been a while, but it's WrestleMania season, so it's time to bring the legends back. Here I am.
Yeah, you know, WrestleMania season happens. We look, Undertaker only works once a year, you know, for the last 15 years. Why not Fred as well? Thanks for coming back, brother. In the bottom right, he is the freshest of the elegant ones, T.Y.T. Miller. What's up, Tyler? How are you, brother?
What's going on, PJ? Glad to be back, man. We were just taking a week off, man. There's so much happens in between. It's a lot to talk about. So
it's a lot. So much is going on, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. It's hard to keep track. So, but yeah, we're doing it. We're gonna talk all things wrestling. Before we get into the headlines, though, there's so much things we're not going to talk about that I just kind of wanted to bring it up briefly. NXT is on fire. I don't know how much we're going to talk about NXT tonight. Fred, I know that you're a resident NXT guy. I watch, obviously, on Tuesdays as I'm editing my other podcast, so it's a good way for me to catch up and kind of watch everything. There's a lot going on there.
Yeah.
Do you think that it is better than SmackDown? If SmackDown, let's just say Cody obviously wasn't on SmackDown. Let's say the rest of it. So the other 95% of SmackDown. Do you think NXT is better than that other 95%?
100%.
Okay. All right.
And that's nothing. That's no reflection on the superstars. Of
no,
SmackDown.
Not at all. It's just a better that 2-hour show is.
Well, and the other thing too is SmackDown has been 3 hours since what, January?
Yeah.
I forget how long it's been now. So that doesn't help, right? We've had this conversation with Raw for a year.
Yeah.
So now we're in the same predicament with SmackDown. At least Raw's in a sweet spot at 2.5, which I think is
1,000%.
It's been perfect.
Yeah.
Right. But no, I think NXT. I mean, for my money, NXT is one of the best shows of the entire week.
Dude, 1,000%. 1,000%.
You know, it's kind of it's gone past developmental, right? So
yeah, I think that's the thing that everybody needs to understand. I think that's the one thing I see online constantly, and it's like the people that are commenting on it, calling it developmental, are e-drones. Like, they don't watch anything else, and I'm cool with that part's whatever. But like, it's almost like they don't get it that it's so far past developmental, man. It is a third brand that is presented differently than the main roster. That's really what it is.
Cool. Like, I love when they go on the road. That is one thing about NXT, though, that the only fault of NXT that I have is the PC.
Yeah.
They need to get out of the PC. But it's been about once a month now, they do go out on the road.
Yeah.
And I think those shows are amazing. They're smaller venues, which I think is really cool. I think, like, yes, it's cool when they do the pay-per-views, you know.
Yeah.
In the arenas or whatever, but I think these little, like, odd venues they go to are awesome. You know, I personally went to Roadblock at the theater at the Garden last week, and it was incredible.
Which is also crazy to me that they have a whole ass theater inside a stadium. They're like, by the way, we got this other 2,000 person venue in the basement if you want to try. Like, that's crazy as shit. And I agree with that. The smaller venue thing, you know, it's crazy the way that they approach NXT is very similar to the territory days where you talk them into the seats now. Like, it's almost like they've gone backwards. They're like, hey, let's spend these weeks in the PC so that they're guaranteed to buy tickets at the pay-per-view.
Yeah, right? That's a good way to put it. Yeah, and it does make it feel special. Who knows, if they were to go on the road every week, you know, it might not be as special, right? It just becomes the norm. So in that sense, like, as much as I would love to see them get out of the PC, it kind of does make it cool when there is that one show. You know, they were in Cincinnati a month ago. They were in LA. They were in St. Louis,
yep.
months ago, Chicago, stuff like that. They're going to be in Vegas for the taping after Stand and Deliver.
Yeah, they're going to be at all of them, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So that it kind of makes it cool. Like when once a month they're
Agreed.
They're going to be in Tampa in May, right? So
Agreed.
So if they do it every week, maybe it's not as special anymore. But back to the original question. I think NXT definitely better than SmackDown. Not to say this Friday. I'm sure we'll get to it.
Right. Yeah, and that's.
But in a normal SmackDown, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Tyler, what about you, man? What do you think? Obviously, SmackDown being 3 hours and on Fridays it's not only. I just think it's. Man, it's a tough watch. I'm on the Miguel train of like watching it the next morning. I watch it typically Friday after it's over because I am an hour ahead, so I can kind of like fast forward through most of it. But Tyler, what are your thoughts on? Do you think NXT is better than SmackDown?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm definitely, like I mentioned a couple weeks ago, I've just now kind of started to tune in to NXT regularly.
Yeah, right.
And, I'm definitely finding myself watching more of NXT than I am SmackDown these days. And
Sure.
Not hating it, really, really enjoying it, actually. And I think SmackDown was struggling with 2 hours before they went to 3. So
it just felt like it was off a little bit. Yeah, for sure.
So, I think keeping them at 3 hours is only going to continue to hurt them. I would think that they would see some kind of success that Raw's having with 2.5 hours and, try to scale it back a little bit. But,
yeah,
I guess we'll see if that happens.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I thought that was a good question. Also, before we get started with the headlines, it is 30 days of wrestling tees. If you guys, we talked about it on the last episode, but Wrestling for Sale does a thing every year. He has probably the greatest collection, but I want to give a shout out to my man Kid XL in Vancouver because he posted a shirt today that is absolutely hammered. It is a Ric Flair from 87. Let me post it up here. Ric Flair from 87. Slick Rick is on it. It is undefeated. I'm like, dude, this guy's collection. And his it's Kid_XL, man. He's got a ton of cool stuff, but he posts honestly his wrestling tees. His collection is deep it's so deep. Y'all got to check it out. But 30 days of wrestling tees. Look up that hashtag. There's a ton of cool stuff. I'm rocking this week the Lucha one. I think Fred's got a WrestleMania one on. Tyler, you rocking a wrestling tee as well? Yeah,
actually, got an Instagram everything wrestling.
Yeah,
and got a shirt made.
Okay,
so it's kind of a personal thing.
Yeah, nice. Dude, there's a ton of cool ones out there, man. 30 days of wrestling tees is a cool thing that Ted from Wrestling for Sale started. Juicebox is another guy that he's got a ton. Juicy's his closet is deep full of cool wrestling tees too. So, yeah, check it out. All right, man, we're going to get into it. The headlines. And this week, the headlines read, first off, we're going to start, and obviously, Fred, you don't have to have an opinion about this one, so you might not. But the
you don't want me to have an opinion about this.
Revolution grades. Honestly, I thought it was a pay-per-view. I thought, obviously, it's hard to top Chamber, but AEW has really never missed from a pay-per-view perspective, in my opinion. They're getting even closer to being, like, really exactly what you want to see. There's still maybe one match too many. Maybe 2 matches too many, especially with 0 Hour being long. I don't watch 0 Hour every time, but I thought it was still a pay-per-view. The end was almost ruined it. It almost ruined it. But I didn't really care who won between Cope and Mox. Like, that didn't bother me, whatever. I liked that they brought Christian in. I thought that was a good way to do that, but the best part was Swerve coming back at the end. And I really felt like that wrapped it in a bow because I think Swerve is the best thing for the company. He's super over. His intro's super over. He's over in matches are great. Obviously, he somehow managed to get Ricochet to be. I'm not saying this in jest. Ricochet has low-key become like one of my favorite moments on AEW every week. It's like he's so hateable, like in a joking way. His Twitter is hilarious too because he's like constantly trolling other accounts that like we all talk shit about. So like, I don't know, man, like the stuff that Swerve does. So I thought overall, obviously it was an A+ pay-per-view. I would say A. Cope Hogan, that's funny. I think, like I said, for me, it was just like one of those ones where I just really enjoyed it. Ospreay versus, Fletcher is just unbelievable. I don't think you're going to see a match. And we talked about this, like cage match versus Seth and CM Punk, which is better. Obviously, it's dependent on which feud you like better. And it's so subjective at that point, which is cool because they were both, amazing. So I don't know, man. Overall, I thought it was an A. I thought it was really good. All the stuff, even the Momo Watanabe in Sasha or Mercedes match. Sorry, Sasha. Mercedes. I thought that was incredible. Like, if y'all didn't, I think I saw something today that made me even more thankful for Mercedes. They were like, it was the move last night where it was like, hey, Billy Starks, hit me with that one-winged angel, but try to kill me. You can't tell me that Mercedes doesn't love the game, and that's like what the tweet was. And I was like, damn, you're right. Mercedes loves this shit. And like, you got to kind of, her matches are great. So overall, I thought it was really good. Tyler, what say you, my friend?
Man, I agree with a lot of what you said. I'm going to give it probably an A-, and I feel like it would have been an A+, but the ending, it just didn't sit well with me for some reason.
Nah, I get it.
And then, of course, the stuff that happened last night is just the booking with Mox and Cope right now. It's just not doing it for me.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about that later for sure.
Man, I was, but as far as the whole pay-per-view, like you said, Kyle Fletcher and Ospreay, it's hard to beat a match like that. Mariah May and Tony Storm.
That's the thing is, I look at Tony. I didn't even that was probably potential for match of the year, and they only did it in like 13 minutes.
Yeah, and the way that they played out the whole thing, the Hollywood ending, they're in LA. Yeah. I mean, there's just no, and I feel like that, to me personally, is probably one of my favorite storylines that AEW's done. Kind of sad to see it end, but as a whole pay-per-view, they're continuing to kill it. So yeah. I mean, it's definitely an A for me
for sure. Fred, what about you, man? Obviously you caught the highlights. I don't know if you ended up watching the full thing, but what are your thoughts?
No, unfortunately, I mean, because I will say I do think AEW's pay-per-views are pretty good. That I've seen a lot of them from the last 3 years. I didn't get to see this one. That's why I had asked in our group chat, like, what the big deal was with the main event, because I had seen all this backlash. Yeah. And that was ironically like the match that I was like, I wanted to.
Yeah, so that's the thing. This is a perfect example. Fred is the opposite, not the opposite of me, but he has a different viewpoint of wrestling, which is the great reason that wrestling fans exist, right? So your sentiment's like, hey, I want to see Cope and Mox, like, because their storyline seems like something you know what I mean? Like, you're very interested in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did you end up getting to see the ending? What happened?
No, I didn't. Oh, okay. I didn't get to really see any of it. And the thing I really wanted to see, though, was the end of the Mariah May and Tony Storm thing. I heard that was very good. And I didn't get to see that. So I'm going to have to go back and watch that and see,
I'm not going to penalize you because you didn't watch, but that's okay. I will say this.
I'll try and catch time.
You would have absolutely hated Fletcher versus Ospreay. It's not your. It wouldn't. It's your cup of tea, like, to the point of like the story points of it, like, because their story is very like WWE-esque. Hey, I trained you. I brought you up. You are my Randy Orton. I am Triple H.
No, I like that. Yeah,
part of it for sure. But the in-ring thing, you would have been like, okay, bro, he's gonna kill him to beat him. That's what's gonna take. Like, that's how. And I think that's probably
too much.
That was my sentiment almost to a certain extent. I'm like, damn, I kind of wish that one of these would have finished him, but they gave him. I mean, it was almost, that match was like 30 some odd minutes long.
See, that's the problem. And listen, it's not to say that WWE hasn't done it.
Yeah, no, for sure.
It's just we've gotten to a point like where I think, at least on the WWE front, they have kind of pulled it back a little bit.
Yeah.
But it like gets to a point where like, the false finish is great, but when like there's 10 of them in a match, they lose their luster.
Yeah, it becomes less like,
away,
especially if it's a weird false finish in the sense of like, how many times do you have to hit like, what is your finisher at that point, right? It's almost like, what's protected, and I get
how bad are you? Like, are you that bad? Is none of your shit work?
Right? Is your finisher even any good? You're 60% on WWE 2K25 finishers?
Right. Like, I think I used this example on the podcast once before, but like when Taker and Shawn did it at WrestleMania 25, there was so much investment over 25 years of both
1,000%
of the tombstone of in music, that when the person did kick out of it, it was unbelievable. But now, half the guys, I don't even know what the hell their finish is.
I will say that you make a good point. I think one of the things AEW could take from certain, not just WWE, but obviously even WCW of the past, but like guys using their signature moves to finish wrestlers on the weekly show, and then their finisher, finishing guys on pay-per-views, might be better of use. Because if you have to hit the Stormbreaker 3 times, is it really a finisher?
Exactly.
Right? And here's the thing. I have said this a lot about the spear, the super kick, all the stuff. WWE, I mean, they spam finisher. Like, the spear is the app. Dude, there's 3 guys who use that, 4 guys who use that as a finisher. And it's like,
which I don't agree with.
Right. It's like, why are we doing, like, I think that's like kind of, so that to be said, like,
and that wouldn't have happened years ago.
Oh, never. They would have been like, nah, dog, don't do my move, right?
Like, they would have done more than say, nah, dog. They would have been in the shower.
Goldberg really ruined it for everybody, man, with his stupid spear. Now everybody thinks they can do it. But yeah, man, I don't know. Revolution, like I said, I think if you're an AEW fan, even if you're not an AEW fan, I would show you Mariah May, Toni Storm.
Yeah, no, I do want to see that.
And I do believe that
There's
it would.
One good point, though.
Yeah.
Back. I'm sorry. Back to the finisher thing, right? But that's also on the guys too.
1,000. No, and I've said 1,000%.
Roman Reigns should be said. Well, maybe of course he's not going to say it to Jey,
right?
But Roman Reigns should say, "You're going to have to find another move."
You don't think that, like,
Braun?
Look, that's my thing about Braun Breaker, dude.
Whoever.
Braun Breaker is too good of a wrestler, to have the same finisher as 3 other guys.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, Roman should be like, Stone Cold would have told you.
Yeah, sure.
You know, when Stone Cold was done, Kevin Owens asked for Austin's permission to use the Stunner. That's different. He's not using it. You know, when Roman retires, you want to use the spear, go for it. But while he's current, you know, I mean, okay, yeah, you could say, well, you know, it's cool of him to, but yeah, it's cool of him, but we have to have some kind of.
I agree. You know, Tyler, what about you? What are your thoughts on that on the finisher subject?
I think it's I really think it's overused in both companies a lot. Finishers, signature moves, whatever it is. But the false finishes, same thing. AEW does it a lot more, and it does take a lot of the excitement out of. It's like, okay, you are just waiting for that one time that you know they do get the 3 count. I get that, but at the same time, you know, I think they could definitely tone it down a lot.
See, I think I do love the false finishes in some. I just wish they didn't have them every single match.
Oh, a false finish makes match.
Yeah. Just like you're saying,
they're spamming
it. Yeah, they're spamming it for sure.
Right.
Yeah, that's where I agree. Is spamming it for sure.
And who's finished today, with the exception of, like, you know, Roman Spear, Superman Punch is still over. Crossroads definitely over.
Yeah.
You know, I'd even say Bianca Belair's KOD, when she hits that, that's a pretty
1,000%. Yeah.
You know, but like, how many people's finishers do you even get shocked anymore if somebody kicks out of it?
That is a great question. I'll be honest
with
you.
Maybe. I mean, you go, oh, okay, yep, they're gonna kick out.
But see, I watch so much. New Japan that I got used to the spamming the finisher thing, because they don't call them finishers there, right? They, like, the King's Road approach to wrestling is like, you have to hit your thing multiple times. It's happened, but that's happened since the 80s. Like, it's not like a new thing. They've just done that since the 80s. Thing. And that's, it's a huge King's Road thing. So, like, you just, like, the Rainmaker, it's like, oh, I got to hit this 6 times to finish him, or I've got in big matches, obviously.
Different philosophy then.
Yeah, it's a whole different. And so, like, that kind of came over to America, obviously, as American wrestlers wrestled over there and finishers became more of an important thing. But that's like, if the reason I equate that to that is that in Fire Pro Wrestling back in the day, when I was like, I didn't understand when I first started playing Fire Pro, I wasn't like super in the forums, and everyone's like, no, dude, you have to hit the finisher like multiple times. And I was like, oh man, you know, I'm used to WWE video games where it's like rock bottom, 1 time, over, that's it, right? And so then I started to get that, like, acclamation to, oh, it's the New Japan King's Road style that they brought over here. And that's kind of where the false finish thing became more and more apparent, because Hogan's leg drop, I mean, how many people kicked out of that? Ultimate Warrior is probably the first one, right, at 6, right? Like, real talk. So
exactly, no, for real. That's
So I think
I'm not saying we're going to get to that point, but it's got to,
for sure. I definitely think you could, like, how can we scale? I think the big thing is like giving them a signature that finishes people off, because that's the problem with the Blue Thunder Bomb by Sammy.
Yeah.
It's finished.
When has he ever won with
it? He's won it like 1 time in his 10-year career or something like that in WWE. Like, either way, all that to say is that there was a lot of that. Go ahead.
Yeah, honestly, I think the biggest thing as far as like signatures and finishers, I think back in the day they used to play a big part in telling the story. But I don't think you get that anymore. It's just like you said, oversaturated, and Hogan or Warrior kicking out of the leg drop.
Yeah,
that's a huge part of the story, and you don't get that with any finishers anymore.
Honestly, I think we can go back to Warrior ruining it for everybody because he also took 7 elbow drops from Macho Man at WrestleMania 7, right, and kicked out of those. Well, I guess he didn't really kick out. Macho Man never pinned him, but still, we're blaming all. So Ultimate Warrior's to blame for all this. Hopefully, they'll never bring back the Warrior Award. All right, next headline. WrestleMania feuds, man, are shaping up. Obviously, with Raw and SmackDown kind of on peak right now and rolling and everything happening. And we'll get to Cena versus Cody. Obviously, it's a separate thing, but Braun versus Penta became a new thing this week. Roman, Seth, Punk potential. Finn versus Dom became clear this week, which I think we already knew, but it became very clear. Rhea, Bianca, Io, which we thought was going to happen. That was a pretty cool turn of events. And then Tiffany versus Charlotte. All of those things, the feuds, though, I think now are really starting to become clear. They've got a 4-week runway now where they can just hammer. They've already been doing a great job, right, with the tentacle approach where they're like, this thing creeps into another thing and all that on television. And now I really think they're going to start hammering away with the feuds. My question, and one from your guys' thoughts is what do you think so far of the feuds? And two, what is your feud outside of Cena, Cody? We're all outside of that. What feud are you most excited for going into Mania? And I'll start. I'm going to say I'm honestly most excited about Finn and Dom. I asked this question in the group chat a while back was, who's the baby face there? And I think they finally have turned Finn to the baby face. And because Dom is so hated, he's such a good heel. I just don't ever want to see him as a baby. I think he's such a good heel. Just like, especially right now, he's young. He looks like you want to punch him in the face with his mustache. He's got the Liv connection, all that stuff. That's the one I'm most excited about. It has the least amount of like gusto because there's no titles, there's no belt, but I'm most excited about that. Tyler, you kicked off the last one. Fred, let me kick it off with you. What about you, man? What say you? WrestleMania feuds.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously not, like you said, not with Cena, Cody withstanding. I mean, I can't deny. Obviously, the triple threat is, other than that, is probably what I'm most excited for. But I think that's another obvious one. So I'm going to go somewhere else. I'm excited for the Charlotte Tiffany match.
Sure.
I think that's going to be really good. I don't think Charlotte's going to win. I do think Tiffany's going to retain it.
I think Charlotte should put her over.
That's how I think it should go. Yeah, I think Tiffany should win. Right. But yeah, I'm excited. I've enjoyed the build up for it. It's been a simple build up. Obviously, it picked up on Friday with, that's what I was saying with the figure 8 and everything. I thought that was a good thing to do. I think Charlotte is about to start peaking too, man. Recently divorced. She's obviously shredded again. She's not always shredded, but she's in like peak WrestleMania Charlotte Flair mode right now too. Yeah. So I think that's going to be good. And I am interested to see where the Intercontinental title does go because they made it like it was going to be Braun and Penta. Yeah. But then I also got that sense of like, there were the rumors of the multi-man match for the IC title.
Sure, which would be cool
and
too.
The finish of Raw kind of lend itself to that with, I thought Dom and Finn, but now are Dom and Finn going to be part of the Intercontinental
almost like a 4-way, Penta, Dom, Finn, Braun type of thing, maybe, or a 5-man ladder deal. Yeah, okay.
Something like that. So, so who knows how that goes? And then you could have feuds within that match, right?
Yeah, you've got multiple storylines. It's that tentacle approach where
Dom
everybody
and Finn can go off at Backlash and do a one-on-one. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you could spread them out, but so we'll see. But yeah, I mean. I don't know how I feel about the triple threat for the women's championship. I'm not mad that like Io was included because what would Io do? And I do want her featured.
Sure.
But I was personally looking forward to a Bianca Rhea match.
Yeah, I one-on-one for sure. I can't believe we didn't get straight that. Honestly, they did. They put a big curveball in there.
Yeah, which is it's going to be great. I kind of did want Bianca and Rhea one-on-one. But. I'm not mad that Io's part of it. And crazy. I wasn't expecting her to go into champion. So I think that's going to be interesting too. But yeah, I'm going to say Charlotte and Tiffany, I think, is one of the ones that I think are going to steal the show.
Yeah, I agree. I'm excited about that as well. I just think those are two great performers, and we'll see. Tyler, what about you, man? All the WrestleMania feuds. How do you feel like they're shaping up, and what are you looking forward to?
I feel like there is definitely a lot more of a clear direction this year with it seems like everybody collectively versus last year. It seemed like, of course, a lot of the focus was on Bloodline.
It was like there was only that.
Yeah, it was like finish the story, and that was it. But I feel like collectively, the rivalries are straightforward. We know where we're going with a lot of them. What I'm probably looking forward to most, I don't know if you mentioned it, but the Rollins, Punk, and Reigns.
Yeah, that's definitely one. Yeah. And feel free. I think that can be one too. Yeah, I put that in there. I think Fred was like, because obviously that's an obvious one. I put that in there too because I kind of put that in the
Cody category.
Yeah, like, I'm honestly, I don't know where it's going to go. That's why I thought, and your brother put in the chat too. Interested to see how Heyman gets involved in the Punk, Rollins, and Reigns stuff. I don't know if they're going to have a straight triple threat, or what do you think? Sorry, Tyler, I didn't mean to interrupt, but.
No, I think that's just about the only way that you can do it now, with them pulling Rollins out of the cage at the main event, and then that subtle ending there where Heyman's in the ring with Punk.
Yep.
That's huge. But I do think Finn and Dom, the build up to that, the crumbling of the Judgment Day, I do think that's going to be really interesting, and I feel like it's been coming for a good little while now, and it's going to be kind of cool to see how they plan out, the ending of the Judgment Day.
Yeah, I think it might have finally run its course, the Judgment Day. I'm cool for it to be over finally, especially with Big Head getting hurt, and obviously Damien's gone now too, and I don't really see, like I said, the Raquel things, whatever. So, but I think that there's still a lot to break. There's enough there to break it up and be a cool breakup and see how that goes. From there for sure. Yeah, I think WrestleMania feuds are going to be we're going to see a lot more. Obviously, we're coming out because SmackDown still has some stuff to figure out with tag teams. There's still the Intercontinental and the U.S. women's stuff that's going to happen. There's a lot to be said with all the titles and whatnot. So WrestleMania, we're going to talk more about Cena and Cody and Jey and Gunther here shortly. But all right, let me reset this last headline here. Are the indies still the indies? The reason I bring this up is as a lot of things have come out recently, the WWE ID wrestlers, right? There's been a lot of talk about them not being able, they can't do jobs now and all this stuff and blah, 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 blah on the internet. Then you've got GCW announces that Gabe Kidd is going to be there. Natty's going to be in NWA. All of these things. Pete Dunne's going to be at Bloodsport as well. Like, there's so much. Now you've got WWE Evolved. Like, there are so many things that the indies used to be that are no longer that to me. And that's kind of why I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts. I think that the indies we have two ways of approaching pro wrestling. It's always been that way. However, it's just hyper evaluating it. Everyone's like, oh man, you didn't work the indies. I'm like, neither did Lex Luger, dog. So just relax, okay? They've been pulling D1 athletes for as long as there's been D1 athletes.
On Simmons.
It's not I mean, dude, it's for Chief Jay Strong, Chief Jay Strong, all of them. They've been doing this for as long as there's been pro wrestling. There have been D1 athletes becoming pro wrestlers. So all that can go out the window. That's not. But I think the other thing is WWE getting involved a little bit more and now plucking a little earlier and having their hands in it takes a little bit of the indie feel out of it. Now, obviously, we don't know. I don't care either about how that works, but I do think that it adds a little bit of a coming from. It's a perfect example is the music industry, right? An artist is an indie if they have an artist development deal. Okay? They can tell you that they're independent. If they have an artist dev deal, they are an artist on a label. It's the same thing with wrestling. If you're a WWE ID wrestler, I think that you're still you're a major, you're just at a different artist development. You know what I'm saying? So it's like for me, the indies are still the indies, yes, but there's so much going on with the crossovers. I think it's great for the sport. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I just don't think it's the same in a good way that it was 10 years ago, right? I think that there's going to be obviously some growing pains and things like that, but I'm excited. All that to say is I am excited about it, and I look forward to it. Tyler, have you seen, obviously, the stuff on the internet, but what are your thoughts on the indie scene in wrestling and where it's headed or where it's going or how it's looking?
So I think with WWE kind of putting their hand in it, I think it is it's positive and negative. Of course, anything attached with the WWE name is gonna attract people to want to watch a product,
sure,
to buy a product, to go to a show. But at the same time, it's we've seen what happens when WWE monopolizes things, and typically it's not good.
Sure.
So I feel like if WWE starts inserting, the politics in the indies, and I got some friends that do some indie wrestling, and I'm sure there is politics already in the indies, but if it, more
even
that
more so, even more so, yeah.
So I think that's something that could be really negative for it. But I think as a whole, it's really positive for the wrestling business, the wrestling fan, and especially the wrestlers, because it provides opportunities to make a paycheck.
I think so too. I think that's the biggest thing is it's just provides more for. There's so much going on in wrestling. There's so much availability that I don't think it's a negative thing at all. Like I said, I think there are some certain things that could become negative, but they haven't pulled that card yet that I know of. And if they do, I'm sure one of our cuck-faced wrestling journalists will tell us all about how they heard it first. Fred, what about you? Obviously, man, you're a WWE diehard, right? You are, and I think that we've talked a lot about this, about like you're not big on going to these other conventions or these things because they're not WWE related. But like we talked about Bloodsport today, perfect example. Are you more inclined because there are WWE wrestlers there?
100%. Not to say that I'm going, right?
No, but you're inclined. Yeah,
Rose, I would be like, oh,
yeah,
Pete Dunne's going to be there. Yeah, that's cool. I'll check it out. It has my seal of approval now. It is what it is.
Yeah.
So I for instance, like if there was an indie show in town, and I mean I've gone to indie shows because
sure,
a big name came through, right?
Right.
But like if I know it's a WWE ID indie, and they have the WID branding that they're giving them, and all that, I mean, I'll be like, oh, that's kind of cool. I want to check that out, see what that's about, and which I would have maybe not.
Which
done.
is not a knock, man. It's just like it's the same way that Nike did Off-Whites. Like that's obviously not saying, but Virgil Abloh. But I'm just saying, like, oh yeah, I like Off-Whites, so I'm gonna check out Nikes, or I like Nike, so I'm gonna check out this Off-Whites. Like, why wouldn't? It's not a bad thing for sure.
Yeah, but I do think, I mean, it definitely changes the indies. I don't think the indies are what they were or will be what they were.
Sure.
As this continues to evolve. But like you said before, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
Everything has to evolve. And, it's not like the indies are this great thing. I mean, they're, usually terrible rings, guys getting underpaid. I mean,
sure. Here's your hot dog and a drink. Yeah.
Yeah, right. A handshake and a hot dog, and
exposure, as they used to say.
Yeah, right. So I think it could be a good thing, depending on how it goes. I think it definitely has the chance to be a positive for the industry.
Yeah, I think of course the naysayers that you see online, I think a lot of them have suffered. One big thing was NXT UK. They kind of ransacked everybody from Progress, and they ransacked everybody from WXW, and it does make it hard. But you know what it does do is it gives opportunities for new people to make stars. Like Progress has continued. Progress has been Progress Wrestling, I'm speaking specifically. It has been that way, and they've done that. And WXW, same thing. And I think like it just gives opportunity for better production, for better value. Fans get better stuff out of it. You don't have to look, dude, no offense, but like I don't want to see the old indies. Like I loved indie wrestling, and obviously when WCW died, like the indies really started to pop. Ring of Honor, PWG, all of those companies and those things that, IWA, there was a lot of stuff that came out of that. And I think like that was great. And that led to where we are now, to a lot more companies existing in a much larger space. TNA, Ring of Honor, AEW, NWA, all having TV stuff, all having space. I think that this does the same exact thing. And it's like, it's an opportunity to be minor league. There's a lot of minor league baseball who are not associated with a Major League Baseball team, but they are still a minor league baseball team. They play other minor league baseball teams. This is that same type of thing. This gives you a chance to do that and make money and find new I just think it's a good thing. I think it's
right, and I think that's a good example. The minor league baseball teams. Yeah. You know, I think because that's basically what it is. You know,
1,000%. You're honing your craft. Not to say you can't make a living on the indies. There are a lot that do. Joey Janela, you know, Matt Cardona now, all those guys. Like a lot of them are doing it. But it is a chance for you to hone your craft and figure out what works, what doesn't work, and kind of how can you make it to the next level. So we'll see what happens, but I'm excited about it. So we'll see. The indies, still the indies. All right, those are the headlines. All right, this is the big one. Obviously the big one is Cena versus Cody. We had Raw on Monday. It was live at 3:00 in the afternoon, which what a time, man. Look, this is maybe the worst week for efficiency at companies in America from noon on, right? You've got Monday Night Raw happening. Nobody's working. You've got NCAA tournament starting today and tomorrow. Like, I'm just going to be honest with you guys. If you work at a corporate job, chances are you're dicking off and watching wrestling or you're watching basketball. That just is what it is. So Monday was electric. Cena came out to The Time Is Now. Everybody was disappointed on the internet. I thought it was cool. Like I said, I figured he would do that just to kind of spite everyone. But, man, his promo took a turn. And let's talk about it. Tyler, what are your thoughts on Cena and Cody so far, especially Cody roasted him on Friday, and now Cena with the hammer on Monday, and I thought Cody did his thing. Obviously, I thought Cody won that battle, but I loved Cena's approach. I loved his beginning of the promo. What about you, man? What say you? Cena versus Cody.
The Cena versus Cody, the feud I'm excited for. Cena's promo and his, I guess we'll call it heel work that he did for one show so far now. Yeah. I just wasn't into it, man. Wasn't
you? Okay, all right.
I think, there was bits and pieces that I did like of it. Sure. But most of it, it just felt like his Hollywood bullshit. And it's just, I really feel like Cena's too tapped into that world. I see it a whole lot when he wrestles now and the movements that he makes. It feels like he's recording a movie. And I'm just not that into it. And I'll be honest, as much of a Cody hater as I am, that little tidbit that we got from Cody, and Cena right there on Monday, it was pretty good. So I think I'm going to pull for Cody in this feud.
Okay.
Can't believe I'm saying that, but
I can't either. Apologies also, by the way, guys. I hit the wrong button here, and now for some odd reason my camera's like, nah, dog, we got other opinions here. Let me fix this. I apologize for those watching live, Jeffrey, and we got us fixed. All right, Tyler, my bad. I can't believe that you weren't into the Cena thing. That doesn't surprise me necessarily. I don't nothing ever surprises me anymore, but very interesting take. What about you, Fred? Obviously, I think me and you talked the most about it. But what are your thoughts on Cena v. Cody so far?
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. I thought one of the best things that Cena did was not change anything.
Sure.
Right? Because that's what everybody wanted. New music, new look.
Yeah.
The whole thing. And he didn't change anything.
Yeah.
And he said that. He mentioned it in the promo. I thought it was cool.
Sure.
He really went in. I didn't know how deep he was going to go. I
like that he called out that little chunky kid.
It was crazy, right? A bastard. It was literally, I was like, this is like 20 years of like legit, like there's some truths to things he
1,000%. I mean, think of the things of getting booed as you're the main baby face of the company. They are force feeding you down everyone's throat. Yeah. And it's not by his choice. It's not like of course he wants it to be a superstar, but it's not like he was like, hey, let me and Rock headline WrestleMania again, Vince. Right. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't his decision, he's just getting hammered with booze. So I agree. Yeah, 100%.
Somebody posted a video, like it was from I think 2013. He had some injury that was going to keep him out for a few months, and the crowd was cheering, and it was like, this is why Cena said what he said. It was like
dude. Good video, for him. Right? Good for Cena.
So I loved it. I thought Cody, even though he didn't they didn't say much to each other. I thought Cody, what he said, that I don't want this Cena.
Yeah.
That whole thing. And
yep.
Cena saying nothing. I just thought it was well done, and it leads you for now. Next week, they're going to be in the venue again together. What's going to happen now? And then we have, another 3 Raws after next week.
Yeah, I was going to say, so this gives us, we've got 4 Raws left before, right? We got the 24th, the 31st, the 7th, and the 14th, all before, right?
Yeah. So there's a lot left of time. And I'm ready for it now,
I agree.
And I really enjoyed it. I really did. I think it's fun. I don't think it'll last as far as Cena being a heel, but that's fine. I don't think it should.
Do you think it's going to go, 5, 6, what do you think it's going to go, till Money in the Bank type thing? Or
Maybe, through the summer. I've heard that the Cena Cody program is going to be a 3-match program. That it's not going to be a one-off.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
I don't know if that's true.
Man, wow.
Your favorites.
I'm sure Mike Johnson's just back of the room, just hammering it.
I don't know
everybody.
But it's not. I don't think it's a bad idea. The only issue I have with it, I'm all about the 3-month being a 3-month program, and I think it should be. But I want Cena to hit as many people possible in these 12 months.
Yeah, man, I really would rather him just wrestle everyone at this point. Almost do like the John Cena Open Challenge. Yeah,
Orton, Punk, Gunther.
I don't know if I want him to wrestle Gunther.
No.
The thing with Gunther is, the thing with Gunther is, I just don't. Gunther's not like a legacy act that I think he needs to hit. I would love to see him wrestle everyone, like Cody, Punk, Roman one more time. Orton, maybe AJ, maybe KO one more time. Like
I didn't want this at Mania, but I would like to see him and Logan.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, I'm out on the Logan thing. I was out before, but I'm fully out now.
I didn't want it at Mania.
What'd you say, Tyler? You said Orton. Do I think they're going to fight?
Yeah, at Backlash, since it's in St. Louis.
Damn, that would be sick. Orton versus Cena at Backlash?
Yeah.
That'd be kind of fun. Do you think Orton support? See, here's my question. So now Cody has Rock, Travis Scott, and Cena again, right? And so now Cody's got to assemble another 3-man team. Who do you think's going to be on Cena's or on Cody's?
Well, we know one, hopefully.
Yeah, 2.
Oh, Austin. 2 sure. Austin and who?
And Orton. I think it's got to be.
See, but I think Orton is tied up with KO going into Mania now.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
Right? So that's where I'm like, I don't know. Interested to see. I will say this. I thought Cena's part, like I said, I thought his promo was good. I still think that Cody's the best.
What about Roman?
See, I mean, is Roman going to take it? Here's my thing with the Roman in the tentacle approach where things are tied into other things. Triple H has crushed it with that. Yeah. I'm not saying he obviously does it by himself, but like from a leader, he has crushed it with that. And so I do suspect that Roman will be involved somehow, in some way, and that will start the next story arc for that. You know what I'm saying? He's going to be involved in Saturday. He may be main event night 1, and then Sunday comes in and gets involved in the Cody thing, and then his story arc now with The Rock and all that stuff is now intertwined. There's just so much. Like I said, that's the cool. I will say this, and I've stressed this about WWE, is at the top they are killing it storyline wise. At the top, they are absolutely crushing it from a storyline at the top, and this obviously being the one. This is the one. I look, Punk and Seth and Roman, yes, is a main event, but it's not the storyline. We call it whatever we want, right? Like this is the definitive thing: is Cody versus Cena is the show.
If there was if it was one night.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I think it's interesting, but like I said, we'll see what happens with Cena. And there's so much to do. I love that they're doing the farewell tour merch stuff still, and that they're doing it in each city because everybody's gonna buy it. Who ain't gonna buy it?
Yeah, oh yeah.
It's amazing. I think it's.
I'm
great.
already waiting for the Vegas one.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. So, we'll see what happens.
Man,
yeah.
Shout out to Michael Cole too. What'd you guys think of how he
reacted? I thought that was great too.
That was well done.
I will say this. I see a lot of discourse online for people not liking Pat McAfee. Do y'all see that online ever? Do you guys see that at all?
I've been seeing a lot of hate towards him here lately.
Yeah, so here's my thing to everybody hating on Pat McAfee. Michael Cole would be dog shit still if it wasn't for Pat McAfee coming in. I promise you that. Michael Cole was over. I could not stand him. And Pat McAfee helped him get over that hump. Obviously, Vince leaving helped too, but like Michael Cole, and he's talked about this. Pat McAfee made him have fun again, all stuff. So I'm like, all of y'all shitting on Pat McAfee don't get it. I promise y'all don't get it. Y'all would have never made it through Bobby Heenan and Gorilla. Y'all would have never made it through JR and King. All y'all shitting on Pat don't get it. I'm telling you this out of I have a lot of friends who hated Pat McAfee, didn't get his show, didn't get it at all. And then he went to College Game Day and they're like, oh, we get it now. He's the real, you know what I'm saying? So for all those shitting on Pat McAfee, go watch a Logan Paul fucking vlog or something, you dorks. I'm over it. Anyway, sorry. All right. So Cena Cody. Yeah, man, we're on to the next show. All right. This is a big one. And I think this comes from a little bit of discourse on the internet this week, but main event Jey Uso, man, is he a main eventer? And I will say this. I believe that he is still. His entrance, my only thing with him is he is always gassed because his entrance is 7 minutes long, and he's like he's doing a workout for 7 minutes of straight cardio, and he's just gassed constantly. And I think it takes away from his matches sometimes because the entrance is so big. He's so over that it takes away from his in-ring. He can still go, and I think he gives what people give him. I've seen that a lot, and I agree with that. If the other wrestler's really good, he's really good. If the other wrestler's not doing their part, then he's like, all right, well, I don't have, you know what I mean? Maybe that, and I don't know that for certain. It just kind of feels that way. Obviously, the AJ Francis looking botch this week wasn't great. Him diving over the rope.
He acknowledged it on Instagram, which I thought was cool.
And I think he does that all the time.
I'm going to hit it next week.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I think for him, I think main event Jey Uso is a main eventer. What say you, Freddie?
100% agree. I think the botch that happened on Monday is not indicative at all of his overness and his ability.
Yeah, agreed.
Shit happens.
Yeah,
right,
for sure.
So that take that out of the question. But people were already before any of that were debating. Is he, deserving of this spot? Let me tell you, I was at Madison Square Garden last week.
Yeah.
And there was nobody, with the exception, maybe Rhea, obviously Punk and Rollins got reactions.
Jay has the biggest reaction of the crowd.
That crowd was locked in. And when you're over at the Garden,
you're over everywhere.
You're over everywhere. So, yeah, he's one of the most over guys right now. And that's why I commented on something in the group. Somebody said something in our chat, and I just said, F the internet, because that's the problem. That's what we see, right?
Yeah,
you see it all over
the discourse constantly. Yeah,
true, right. This is
but most of the time it's people who don't watch. That's the thing. It's most of the time people who don't even actively watch wrestling. They only saw that one clip. They they don't even have a Netflix subscription. They got worse than Miguel's subscription. They don't even have a subscription to Netflix. They on a 7-day free trial that doesn't allow them to watch live sports.
But when 17,000 people are going nuts,
man, that's
who am I? Who's right? So, and I think, I definitely think he's a main eventer. I think he proved that with Bloodline stuff, but there's a difference between main eventing against a Bloodline member like Roman or whatever, and getting out of that, and now doing it really on your own.
1,000%.
He faced Roman at SummerSlam a couple years ago, and that was a huge deal.
Yeah.
And I feel like he really did a great job with that. The tribal combat match.
Yeah.
He didn't win, of course.
Dude, we all thought he was going to win.
Yeah, I thought he carried his own in that.
Yep.
To main event SummerSlam is a big deal, right? So, but doing it outside of that whole Bloodline story is a whole different animal. But I think, and not that him and Gunther are going last. I'm not saying that, but it is a main event. Right?
It's still a world title, man, for sure.
Seth and Brock went on first at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Edge and Alberto Del Rio went on first. Sheamus and Daniel Bryan went on first. So there's been world title matches that have kicked off
1,000%. Yeah,
that is what it is.
For sure.
Yeah, no, I think Jey, to be honest, I think Jey may win it. Not that I think Gunther should lose, but
I just think you're never. Here's the thing: is if he doesn't win it now, he'll never win it. That iron is never going to be as hot.
Only
as it
do
is
this redemption stuff so often, and they did it with Cody.
Yeah,
he's already lost to Gunther once or twice, right?
Yeah.
So I think they just need to pull the trigger and have him win it. Yeah. And that doesn't mean that Gunther's not going to win it back the next month, whatever. Sure. But he gets that Mania moment,
right?
With the whole crowd yeeting,
dude. Yeah, 70,000 plus,
70,000 people yeeting in Vegas, right? So
yeah,
Bottom line, he's a main eventer.
Yeah,
four letters. Yeet.
Jeff, we're going to answer that question very shortly. Tyler, what about you, man? What say you? Main event Jey Uso. Is he a main eventer, or is it all smoke and mirrors?
I don't think there's any question. I mean, he's definitely a main eventer. I mean, with how over he is, the entrance, I think, that is definitely a big part of it. I feel like most of part of it, but you can't deny that he's not a main eventer. I mean, he's almost like, when Daniel Bryan had the yes movement, over, like that type of over, when Kofi was, trying to win the world title. And something that I'm not a huge fan of Jey Uso on is the way he cuts his promos, like Stone Cold did. And allows
the staccato, the staccato thing in with the yeet.
Yeah, that's something that I'm not a huge fan of. But just because I'm not a huge fan of it doesn't mean it's not the most over wrestling right now. Sure. So it's it's undeniable that he is definitely a main eventer. Now, will he win the title at Mania? I don't know if Gunther drops it. Obviously, we know how big the company and Triple H is on Gunther.
Yeah,
but. Also, like you said, if he doesn't get it now, I feel like it's kind of like Sami Zayn. He keeps going after it, and
there's only so many times that we're gonna believe it or care anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like it gets to the point. I feel like he's just not gonna get it if this isn't his time.
Yeah, that's a great point. I will say, like I said, entrance wise, I think he is a main eventer still. I think I equate it. And I don't know how many people that might not agree with me, but I equate this to the Matt Cardona thing. Cardona is not he is not going out there to Ospreay wrestle. He's not going out there to do Cody matches. Like that's not his thing. 5-star banger matches, close calls, that's not his thing, right? He is the epitome of sports entertainment. Cardona is the same thing, epitome of sports entertainment in the sense of like they can wrestle enough to get the point across in the show. That's just a small part of their whole thing, right? And so I equate it very similarly to that. And I do think Jey is a main eventer too. I just think yes, obviously he's a much better tag team wrestler in my opinion, but he's managed to get this whole thing over himself and the fans' help and all that stuff, and that goes a long way. So Jeff, to answer your question, do we think that they main event, they being Gunther and Jey Uso, main event night one? Absolutely zero chance, in my opinion. Freddie, what about you?
No, it's Roman, Seth, and Punk. I mean, it has to be.
Yep. Tyler, what about you?
I don't think that it does. I mean, I feel like maybe it was me not paying close enough attention, but I feel like back in the day, that's like, the world title was the main event. I really would like to go back to that. I feel like it really makes it that much more important. But they've definitely seen some success with sprinkling them throughout the show. So I think that's what they'll continue to do.
Sure.
I mean, when you look at it, right, back when Mania was one night, right, and there were two titles, when it was a Raw title, SmackDown title, right, somebody went first, somebody went,
last,
right?
Yeah.
From 19 to 28, from 19 to 28, it was like that.
Okay, that's what I was gonna say. 9 years, yeah.
And then again from WrestleMania 33 to when did
37?
37, right?
Right, that's exactly when they combined them, right? 37 or 39. When did he come?
Well, they combined him at 48.
Dallas,
so
Dallas, he had two, right? Roman and Brock. They had. Okay, right.
So 37 was the last.
Yeah, man. I don't know what. Like I said, they're definitely not. But and that's the thing. Is like where a card. It's very similar to the Tony Storm Mariah May thing. Is like, was it not a main event because it was in the middle of the card? Yes, I get that, but was it still the best match? Did it get the most people out of their seat? Did most people buy it for that? Yeah, probably, which makes it, in my opinion, the draw. And there are certain things that have to go last. Like, I don't think I don't think Rock goes to a WrestleMania where he doesn't play political. I'm going on last. This isn't a conversation. I'm the biggest superstar in the world, blah, 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 blah. I'm going, you know what I'm saying? So, like, it's just kind of like, that's obvious. And everybody else is fighting for second place, which is what it is. But from a fan's perspective, I don't even care when it goes on, honestly. As long as you don't miss it, like Fred missed Damian Priest cashing in, like, it doesn't really matter. I think you're good either way. Good stuff. Good question, Jeff. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, man. Last one here. This is the randomizer, and I like to surprise everybody with it always on the call. Hardcore wrestling. Yay or nay? And this comes from last night's obvious. Cope gave Moxley that suplex on some nails, and they had a hard time getting it out. It reminds me of a lot of things. And we talked about this in the chat too. And the reason this question came up is, like I said, I'm not a hardcore wrestling fan. I thought it was stupid when WWE had the hardcore title. I don't get the gimmick of it. I get that there's certain matches, but it goes back to the unsanctioned thing in WWE. Like, their version of something is not what the rest of the world's version of that is anymore, and that's okay. But you have companies like CZW, where King of the Deathmatch. Like, why are we trying to, like, why would I want to watch a guy kill himself? Like, literally jump off a bit. Like, why would I want to watch that? It's very similar to the Darby thing. Why do I want to see that? I'm not a Darby Allin guy for that specific reason. I don't really get it. But I'm not saying that there is not a place for it. But for me, hardcore wrestling is a pass. Like, I have no interest in that part of it. Last night's thing was sick. It probably popped a lot of ratings on the internet. There's a lot of views. If they've got the same scaler that WWE has where they can just comb through who's watched something on the internet, they'll probably see a very large uptick in grossest things wrestlers have ever done, next to the the Pizza Blade Domino's spot with Nick Gage and Chris Jericho. So that's me, man. I'm a nay on that. But the randomized question of the week is hardcore wrestling, yay or nay? Tyler, what say you?
Man, I'm the complete opposite of you, man. I do enjoy it. I'm super big into the deathmatch scene. I have a lot of friends.
So wild.
Yeah, dude, I have a lot of friends that are in it. One specific guy, I mean, he's went viral, millions and millions and millions of views. But I don't know, man. It's just it is a really niche
hold on.
set.
Are you friends with what's that dude's name? Fuck this shit. And then he jumps on. That's who you're friends with? That guy?
No, but the guy that I am friends with has done a lot of recordings and done a lot of stuff with him. Sick. Have you ever seen the video of the dude who got got his nuts set on fire and got fucking hit with a weed whacker?
No.
It was all over like
homeboy?
Yeah, dude, it was all over SportsCenter and like all kinds of shit. But I mean, I do feel like it is a very niche, audience. Yeah. And if it is your thing, it is your thing, and if it isn't, cool. It's definitely not.
Sure.
But I feel like the bigger companies, I feel like there's, if you're not that type of promotion, I do feel like there's a time and place for it.
Sure.
And the stuff that, as much of a fan of that stuff that I am, the Moxley spot last night, that was very, very, very hard for me to watch. As big of a fan of that type of stuff that I am.
It reminded me of The Wrestler when they're pulling him out of Mickey Rourke's back, the glass. Like, that's what that reminded me of. I was like, except this isn't a TV movie spot. This is
and I don't know if obviously if the spot was supposed to go like that, I wouldn't think so. But I do know John Moxley, actually got a big start on the deathmatch scene.
Yeah, exactly. He was a CZW guy.
Yeah, so it's a yay for me, but I definitely understand the people that don't get it.
Very much so. All right, Freddie, what about you, man?
Yeah, no, ironically, I am a fan of hardcore wrestling.
Sure.
To a point. Like I grew up with the hardcore title. I know you said you hated it. I mean, but it had its moment. And it was fun, and I thought it was crazy, and I
sure.
But it was that. The only other there were exceptions, like when, I remember when Cactus and Triple H fought.
Yeah, the Royal Rumble.
In my eyes, that was the first time I saw barbed wire, 2x4 or a barbed wire.
I felt like that was good. That made sense there.
So that I loved, and then the next month he took that barbed wire.
Were you at that? Were you at that pay-per-view? That was at the Garden. Were you at that pay-per-view?
At the Garden, right? And then at No Way Out, in the Hell in a Cell. Then he set it on fire.
That's the one where he set it on fire in the Hell in a Cell, right?
And so those were that was my first exposure to any of that,
sure.
Right? So, and I was young, and I thought, oh my god, this is so cool. So guys taking back body drops on a piece of plywood with barbed wire all over it. That's cool. Like, it has its purpose. I don't hate it.
Sure.
The nail thing, I think, was a little aggressive.
I've seen a lot of shit. I've seen every Botchamania. I've seen every IW. I've seen every Taipei death match with the tape. I mean, I've seen it all, right? AEW does a lot of stuff like this. Last night is something I don't know that I ever saw happening.
Yeah. No, that I've never seen like that. I mean, getting it out, I think, was the worst part, right? So
yeah, Wheeler Yuta and just with their clothes trying to pull his skin off is the grossest shit I've ever seen. And AEW, Tony Khan's in the back, like, hey man, zoom in, camera number 3, camera number 4.
Yeah, definitely.
Dude, at what point though do you call a damn doctor in the ring? You know what I mean?
That's my here's my thing. Like I said, is
like,
I think
that I don't think had a purpose. I don't think that was necessary.
Sure.
I like hardcore. I'm not like a huge hardcore guy. Like,
no, but you get it.
But I
enjoy
get the point, like a guy brings out a barbed wire bat.
Yeah.
Gets a good shot. I like when it gets stuck to the clothes.
Yeah.
Shit like that.
See, I'm not like the thumbtack thing. I'm like, this is gross, dude. Like, why? I do not.
It's funny. I love like when Orton took that bump. I mean, obviously Mick took it first, and but Orton was nothing on. Right?
Yeah, exactly. So, that's what I'm saying. I'm out, dog. Hard pass.
Yeah, it's like, it's like a car crash. You can't help but look at it, But
gross. Okay. Yeah, man. Like I said, I
do like hardcore. Doesn't mean I like last night, but I do.
No. That's not honestly. That's the question. I think for the internet is that, yay or nay on hardcore wrestling, and hardcore being there is obviously levels to it. So you may be yay, but it's like, hey, I like unsanctioned match that WWE did hardcore, cool. Or yay, I like CZW, shout out King of the Death Match type stuff. I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, there's different strokes.
The light tube shit to me that's not wrestling. I'm not saying a barbed wire back.
No, I get what you're saying 1,000%. Yeah, and that's the thing is I think it is all different strokes for different folks. Everybody's got their thing, which is the beauty of wrestling, because it is an art form and it's also sports and it's also these things. It's a lot of different things. It's an own unique entity that it can be all those things, because there are, it's just like music, right? There's metal fans, and there's like, oh, you listen to metal, but you don't listen to this. And then it's like, all right, bro, I don't even know what that is. Like there's it's all that very similar, different, similar but different type of things. So yeah, man, pretty good stuff. All right, last question. Obviously, the randomizer's over, but Tyler, who you picking? Fred, I'm going to ask you a different version of the same question, but Tyler, who are you picking in the NCAA tournament?
Dude, I'll be honest. I don't keep up with college basketball whatsoever.
Wow.
Shit, dude. I know Ohio State got it.
Yeah, they're not in because they suck. I just wanted you to admit that. That's fine.
Absolutely. No, we definitely do. Absolutely.
Hail to the victors, baby.
Anybody but Michigan, man, and that's my pick.
Fair enough. All right, now, Fred, I'm going to ask you, if you had to pick a university based on where wrestlers went, because a lot of these wrestlers went to school, right? They went to a lot of we've been talking about this, D1 athletes. What school what college would you pick? What would be like your college fandom? Yeah, I knew he was going to do it. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I knew it.
Yeah, me, number 94 on the field, number 1 in your heart.
Oh, shout out to Rocky, man. Let us know in the chat, man, who you're picking. Let us know in the comments. If you're picking in the NCAA tournament, I think, we talked about the D1 athlete thing, and just last point is that that's what I found. So that's what I love about WWE is that they're calling it out now, right? They're like, they have this NIL program. They're going to colleges and recruiting athletes who no longer play. And look at Jada Parker, who was a soccer player in college. Tiffany Stratton was a gymnast. And
she's killing it.
Right? All of them are killing it. And I think
Sean said something in an interview last week. I don't know, some media call, that the women are catching on faster than the men.
Yeah, because they have less sense of what's going on, of less preconceived notion. So they're allowing themselves to learn the sport quicker because it's not something, yes, they've done this other thing their whole life and they're quick to catch on, dude. It's like that's like a phenomenon. Like, obviously you have all these D1 athlete guys who are overbearing, muscle-brained idiots. No, I'm not judging. I'm saying all, but like, that's kind of the concept, right? Where you have these like big, brawny dudes, and they're like I'm the toughest, and it's like, but they don't know the finesse and they haven't taken that time to learn. So I saw Sean say that, and I was like, that doesn't surprise me. All that to say, that doesn't surprise me. Like, it's a very cool thing because like, look at the NXT women just crushing it, and none of them were on the only one on the Indies, or not even Indies, but the only one who've come from a wrestling background are Julia, Stephanie, and Roxanne. Right? The rest of them are all, and Jordan, obviously now, but like the rest of all of those females did something else outside of wrestling. It's incredible. But yeah, man, thanks for joining us tonight. It has been another episode. The boys, good to have the ticket god back. Freddie Fresh will be, he'll be on his way to WrestleMania before he knows it, man.
On the way, baby.
Can't wait to hear about it. TY, thanks for joining us as always. And if you're listening, again, don't forget to follow us at AroundTheMatPod. Hit that like and subscribe button. Until next week, when we go around the mat.
We'll regret it when